What do you have for me this week, KIV? First of all, tremendous job by you, being so easy and flexible with the schedule. I
I
can't believe
always
I missed
try to
about
do my best
30.
for you.
You really do. I don't even know what to say. I'm always moving the show, and you are like, "Yeah, I can move it. No worries."
Well,
What's
I'm
going on?
kind of the head bitch in charge at Wager Talk, so those guys really can't do much without me. And they were so kind, and I said, "Hey, listen, John Murray needs to, pivot, and we're pivoting. Just like 9 p.m. here, no big deal."
Can you say "bitch" on the show? That seems bad. Can you? I don't know.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say anymore at this point.
Okay. So let me. I got to before we get into the show. The first thing they want to do is a quick recap.
Okay.
Well, actually, he crossed out the word quick. I'm going to recap as long as I want to recap. But before we even get into that, you are working for Outkick now. Is that what you tweeted?
Yeah.
Oh,
So Clay called me and he was like, "Hey, have you signed your contract yet?" And I was like, "No, I'm just waiting on it." But I gave my agent the green light, and he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and tweet it." I'm like, "All right, let's see how it goes." And actually, only like 6 people were mean to me. I figured it was gonna be like 600.
Why do you? Because I mean, you and I have been talking about this for years. Why do you look at the responses you get on X from all these losers?
What do you want me to do? There's a lot of nice responses.
Oh, there's nice ones too.
There was a
Okay.
lot of really good stuff today. You got to take the good with the bad, right?
That's
But
fair.
like, it was really funny because some guy was like, called me an alcoholic, something with big breasts, and Clay retweeted and it was like, basically like, thanks for the compliment. Like it was about Clay. It was pretty funny.
That is
And
fun.
then he texts me and he goes, "I'm glad to see you're making friends already."
Are you working for Better, BETR? Because I saw you
Yeah.
doing that. So
Yeah, I'm
you
doing some stuff for those guys.
can I say something that I don't want you to I don't want you to get offended by this, all right?
Okay.
Like I feel like it's people like you that are propping up these unemployment numbers and that your
Because I
president
have like 8 jobs.
yeah, well your president loves to brag about the unemployment numbers and it's because of people like you that work like 9 jobs to be able to pay their bills. So thanks for that, Kelly. That's great.
You're welcome. Let's see. Bettor, Outkick, Superbook,
Yeah.
Wager Talk, BetQL.
You work for
Uh,
BetQL? I didn't
yeah,
know.
Odyssey, BetQL,
I didn't know that.
and I think that's it.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
all? Just that many? You can't even
Listen,
count.
John Murray, it's football season, right? You just got to do what you got to do. You got to put the pedal to the metal. I just booked a flight to Nashville for Clay's Halloween party with Ariel Epstein. We decided we're going to go as the Slinky Dog, the one you saw on Nickelodeon for the London game. You know how they measured the first down with the Slinky Dog? I
You
think we
think
should
that
use
I
that
was
one in real life.
watching? I'm sorry. You think that I was watching the London game?
Yeah. Hello. It was
I was.
very entertaining on the Nickelodeon channel. It's actually very accurate. I was very impressed. I would prefer to probably watch at least 1/3 of NFL games that way.
What do you want to talk about from last weekend? Tell me about like how'd you do? Or do you have anything you want to complain about?
I don't have anything I really want to complain about. I mean, bad pick by me, San Diego State. Air Force just absolutely boat raced them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. Baylor, epic comeback. I wrote them off very early on and was like, well, Blake Shapen, all the great information in the world, 3-point CLV trophy didn't matter. Came roaring back in the second half. So that was really nice to see. Sunday, really good. Panthers, that was fun. Yeah. I had the Chargers in the Westgate Super Contest. Or I'm sorry, I had the Raiders versus the Chargers in the Westgate Super Contest. Thank God I didn't bet him in real life. Josh McDaniels, we knew he's an idiot, but he was coaching against another idiot.
I'm not allowed to comment on stuff like that. So I can't.
Why?
I can't say anything negative about some of the teams in the league. So
Since
if you
when?
can't, since for a
what
while.
About your head coach Ron Rivera not knocking out like 400 some Survivor picks by going for 2? I thought his name was Riverboat Ron.
I didn't understand what I heard after the game. He said that the reason he didn't go for 2 was because his offense was tired. Doesn't that mean the defense would also be tired?
Yeah, you just played 4 quarters of football. Everybody's tired.
Yeah, I would think so. We had so why don't let's talk about our Survivor pick. I don't know.
We almost killed each other again.
You know, when the numbers came out, I think they were only like the 5th most picked. I was really happy. I was really happy we didn't use Philadelphia because Philadelphia was picked so much more. And, the game ended up being pretty dicey.
It
I
went very dicey. But I texted you that. I said, listen, if the Chiefs lose to the Jets, so be it. That's on them. I'm going to blame Taylor Swift.
yeah.
The Jets defense put some pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Zach Wilson took a ration of shit that I thought was grossly unnecessary because I thought he played amazing. And that's probably one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
Didn't he play really well? I mean, it's not hit like the last drive from Kansas City. They had
Patrick Mahomes slid for you. Aren't you happy?
Well,
everybody wanted to scream that the NFL was rigged, and I'm like, well, he made a football play. So
well, doesn't that happen now? I mean, aren't we past that point where the players know that it's better to just end the game than put yourself in a position where yes, they would have almost certainly won if they'd gone up by 10. I understand that. But by going down,
there would have still been what, minute 40 left for the Jets to be able to go and backdoor it anyway.
Yeah, but to win the game, they'd have to score twice. So Kansas City almost certainly wins. But if he just goes out at the 1 yard line, they win. There's no almost certainly wins. The game's over. So of course,
but this is exactly what we talk about all the time on Twitter /X. These people are very emotional, whether they're fans or they're bettors. It's all rooted in emotion, and people lose their minds. Do you think I didn't want to bet the Jets when I saw 92% of the tickets at the SuperBook were on the Chiefs? That is like the ultimate contrarian play, but I did not have the guts to bet the Jets, and they looked pretty damn good.
Do you feel like there's been more – let's go off the topic here. Do you feel like there's been more videos of morons fighting each other at NFL games this season?
Did you see the two Raiders chicks going at each other? That was pretty wild. I actually am going to Titans Falcons is the next NFL game I'm going. No, I lied. I'm going to Bucks Lions, and then I'm going to Falcons Titans with Ariel. I'm a little nervous, John Murray. I get a little mouthy at some of these games. What if some broad wants to fight me, square up?
You might be wealthy. Can we get Ariel? Ariel's kind of big celebrity now. Could she maybe sit somewhere away from you if you're going to be mouthing off all the time?
It was really funny when we took Aunt Helen to Madison Square Garden for the Sweet 16 Elite 8. Aunt Helen just at one point turned to Ariel and goes, "Thank you for being Kelly's friend."
Yeah, well, you are
trying to keep me under wraps because some guy behind me paid $8 for his ticket, and he was mad that I was standing up cheering for my team. Sorry.
How do you know what he paid?
They probably didn't.
What? So you don't even know. You're just making up the
hey, listen, the guy's in a T-shirt. You're not cheering for K-State. You're not cheering for FAU. Mm-hmm. There was a very large man in front of me, so I couldn't see. So my only option is to stand up.
You can't get anything for $8 in this economy. There's no way this kid paid $8 to get into that.
I don't know. But either way, Ariel was like, I think we should go up to the sportsbook suite you're not supposed to be in. I'm like, done. Take me to the suite. I'll eat all the truffle fries. It worked.
The game that really hurt us on Saturday, Notre Dame Duke. There's so many moneyline parlays going to Notre Dame. Everybody's on Notre Dame. It was 4th and 16.
I watched.
And the quarterback ran for a first down, and then they scored a touchdown after that.
I'm telling you, the way Saturday went for me, I am shocked I didn't have Duke plus 5.5. That was the worst beat I think I've seen all year. That was gross.
I don't know.
Then
that wasn't worse than Texas Tech, Oregon. I don't think.
Okay, fair enough. See, you might have to remind me of stuff like that. That was almost out of my memory. That was 4 weeks ago at this point, 3 weeks ago. I finally have gotten over it.
No, you never get over anything. You complain about shit for years. Texas Tech, Oregon was the worst. Duke, Notre Dame was the worst for the book because it was a big decision. There was a lot of money on that game. That was like the big primetime game Saturday night. I was at the Canelo fight, but
I saw you posted on X that you were there. It was like a humble brag.
Because I was watching the West Virginia game because my TV had the West Virginia game on it.
Your TV at the fight?
Yeah, but the guys next to me, they were obviously rooting for Notre Dame. So I didn't have to look on X or any other social media thing to see what happened. They all just roared and started hugging one another.
That's basically what happened in the bar I was at in Chicago. Chicago, close proximity to Notre Dame.
Sure.
Lots of people that didn't go to school there cheering for Notre Dame. And I was like, I would be hell.
That seems to be an issue for you. That they didn't go to Notre Dame, and there's
a lot of people that didn't go to schools that they're fans of, and It's whatever. You know, some
Why?
people don't like when grown men wear football jerseys. I really don't care.
Yeah.
I don't really like when you prop up a school that you would have never had any chance ever in hell to get into.
Well, me and my brother.
Kind of like why you went to West Virginia, because there was no way you were getting into Virginia.
Well, no, I couldn't have. But me
I
and my
know.
brother are both big Georgetown fans. My brother Peter, even
But
though
your dad went there.
but we were too dumb to get into Georgetown. So are we not allowed to root for Georgetown?
No, but your dad went there. You have lineage.
So it has to be a family
Like
relationship.
it's got to be something. Like you can't just go to Johnson County Community College and be a KU fan.
Why not?
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just weird.
This argument. I don't know about it.
Okay,
I don't know
fine.
about it. Let's
Agree
go.
to disagree.
I do disagree. Let's go to college football. I don't like this. Are you looking at the rundown?
Yes, the Red River Shootout.
Yeah, it's not called the Red River Rivalry. Who wrote the rundown? John?
Yeah, of course he did. You think I wrote it? It used to be your job, and now you have no job.
Yeah, I don't do anything anymore. The Red River Shootout is Oklahoma, Tejas. Can I say a little surprised by how high the line is? I mean,
yeah, Oklahoma's definitely going to be in the
good this year, right?
parlay. But
They're gonna be
Oklahoma's been great. Honestly, I thought it would still take Brent Venables another year. But he's done a good job with the transfer portal. He's done a really good job with this offense. Now, remember, I think last year, Gabriel was hurt, or we found out he was hurt like Friday. And of course, I gave out Oklahoma in the parlay, and they lost like 49-0. It was like the worst bet I made last year. So I'm going to make it again this year.
Is that still the Hottie threesome? Is that because you keep saying the parlay?
I don't know. I was going to change the name to the Coco Parlay, but then that made me really sad.
Don't.
I don't know. I haven't changed. It hasn't been the Hottie threesome since like 2015 or 2016.
Then why do I make that joke every week? Because I'm just a jackass, basically?
Yes.
Oh.
Like the underdog parlay is what it's always been called.
Yeah, really haven't seen much on that game. The market's been moving up through the week. We've been moving up with the market. Is that game at 9 a.m. my time?
It is always at 9 a.m. your time.
You know what?
It's always a noon, big noon on Fox, I believe, is always what it is.
Then I'm going to complain. I'm going to complain again.
Why?
I just want to complain. I don't like that they always do that game at 9 a.m. And I don't like that the Michigan-Ohio State game's at 9 a.m. I'm complaining.
Why?
Because that's too early.
Then move to the East Coast.
No thanks.
Can't you go work at like SuperBook Maryland?
No thanks.
I actually was going to text you to see if SuperBook Tennessee would be able to hook me and Ariel up at the suite for the Titans-Falcons game, but I figured I'd wait a couple weeks first.
Why would you text me? That's a marketing question. Like talk to John Hoagland, aka
Yes. The unit is going to get me in to the suite. Hopefully, I will text him. Thank you.
All right. The next game on the rundown. Now you can tell that John Hoagland made this rundown because it's big game.
Oh, because he put Mizzou in it.
LSU, Missouri is not a big game. Nobody gives.
Yes, it is though, because I'm going to take Missouri. Brady Cook, second best quarterback in the SEC. Look at this kid's numbers. He looks great. LSU had their guts ripped out versus FSU. They had their guts ripped out at Ole Miss. Brian Kelly.
So you think that's a bigger game than?
No, I don't think it's a big game at all.
That ain't a big game.
I don't think it's a big game at all. I think the point is that I'm betting it, so he probably put it on the rundown.
This should be like John Hoagland's big games.
Yes, I mean, in fairness, it's not a big game. It's going to be a big game when they went outright, except for I bet them +6, and now they're like 4 at the SuperBook, I think. So somebody else agreed with me today.
Kentucky, Georgia, that's a big game. We could have won a lot of money early in the day Saturday if Georgia had lost to Auburn. They had a shot in that game.
That game was mind-boggling. I bet Auburn the week prior versus Texas A&M. 0 offense.
No.
They come out of the gates in Athens.
Sure.
Absolutely unacceptable. So I'm glad they lost that game. And I'm sorry that everybody had Georgia on their money line parlay. But it wasn't like it was your money.
Yeah, well, somebody has to explain it all.
You have to explain why a certain team covered or didn't cover?
No, it's like, hey, what happened? Well, some guy hit an 8-team parlay. I was like, why'd you let him have that? Like, I don't know. I guess I messed up. Notre Dame.
I guess, John, I decided what I'm going to do in my retirement. I'm just going to be a bookie. I'm going to let people bet $5 19-team parlays all day long. I'm just going to sit on the beach and drink like a pina colada.
I'm exaggerating. They actually understand when it's a parlay. They know. They get it. But we hold a higher percentage on teasers than parlays.
Well,
I don't think people realize.
That's why you guys
teasers are
even juicy on your teasers because you guys don't really want people betting them. Is my guess.
Teasers are better for us than parlays. Last game I have on here is a pretty good game. Notre Dame at Louisville. Notre Dame's had a tough run. They had the Ohio State game a couple weeks ago. Then they had the Duke game. They barely escaped that. They go at Louisville. That's a tough game. They've got USC looming next weekend, one of the biggest college football games of the season. So is this a letdown spot for Notre Dame on the road? Maybe, Kelly. Maybe.
I wanted to say that it was. Trust me, you think I didn't want to bet Duke last weekend. I said, listen, I bet against this team with NC State. Sucked. I was very frustrated. Look, do I think Louisville had the potential to be a live dog? Yeah, I do. But then if you actually break this down a little bit deeper, I actually don't. So I ended up leaving them off my card here. I do think Notre Dame, as you mentioned, snake bitten, right? Few times, but they were resilient. They got the cover. They unfortunately somehow lost that game to Ohio State. But outside of that, you said this team deserves to be in the college football playoff. I like Marcus Freeman's team, and you got to give them a little bit of credit here, right? They are just in an absolute utter slugfest. I thought this would be a letdown spot, but I don't think they're overlooking Louisville here. I really don't.
Well, they shouldn't overlook Louisville. And obviously Notre Dame's getting a lot better quarterback play this season. I think
that helps.
What I said about Notre Dame regarding the college football playoff, I said if they go 11-1, I think they're going to get in because they're Notre Dame.
Well, yeah, that's what part of the problem is sometimes they want those schools in because of their fan bases. And why are their fan bases so large?
The fan base because so many of those people didn't go there.
I don't hate the fan base. I'm just saying that it's like everybody in the 1940s decided if they thought they were any semblance of Irish, which now we all know everybody's full of shit because we have Ancestry.com, except for me. I am 91% Irish, and I do not root for Notre Dame, in case anybody cares.
So by your math, you would be allowed to root for them because you're 91%?
No, that was the logic. And then DNA tests started coming out, and people were like, wait, what? I'm like, well, somebody lied.
Why do you think my grandpa rooted for Notre Dame?
Did he?
Yes, he did, very much.
Yeah, because he's Irish. There was no other schools for him to root for. It was like –
you hate my late grandfather, is what you're saying. Because I'm
saying it was different back then. It was just different. It's like my dad's a Steelers fan, and everybody's like, but he's from Kansas City. I'm like, yeah, but the Chiefs weren't there until the mid '60s. Completely different.
So if Grandpa Murray was still around, would you be like, hey, Grandpa Murray, this is bullshit that you root for Notre Dame just because you're Irish? Because he didn't go there.
Okay. So anyway,
Hottie threesome.
I just said there was an exception back when nobody went to college.
Okay, give me the Hottie threesome. I want to know what it is. I'll give you my place.
I already gave it to you.
I wasn't paying attention. Can you do it again?
Of course you weren't. No, I was kidding. It was almost Louisville. It was this close. It is Oklahoma, Mizzou, and Marshall. Speaking of that lovely game that we spoke about in terms of me betting against Notre Dame was with NC State. Now, I think the NC State pick was not a great pick, right? But there was that weird rain delay that really sucked, killed any momentum because NC State looked really good very early on, right? But kind of started to falter there towards the end, and that sucked. And then they just got their doors blown off in the second half. But I do expect Marshall to kind of be sneaky here, right? We know exactly what we're going to get from this team, and that is they're going to out-yard NC State. Look, they've been great as road dogs, 10-1 against the spread. I'll get into it a little bit more once I do the video for John Hoagland tomorrow. But this team has done well against the ACC historically. And honestly, I'm not sure that NC State's going to sell out this game, right? This is kind of those weird, wonky, out-of-conference games, almost middle of the season. Their fan base seems to be pretty disappointed, especially after last week when they lost to Louisville. It's not good. It's not good. So I would not be surprised to see the Thundering Herd thunder themselves to a win.
What kind of response do you get on X when you post the Hottie threesome videos? Is it like mostly positive?
Of course not.
So
It doesn't matter, though. I just want people to watch. I don't care if it's positive. I don't care if it's negative. Just thank you for watching. Leave me a nice comment. Leave me a mean comment. I don't care. It all helps the algorithm.
Are they mostly mean? No.
Most of those people are either muted or blocked. If you're mean, like you're actually mean, like you're probably already blocked. If you're just dumb, I just mute you and I never have to see your comments ever again. Unless somebody else that's unmuted comments on your comment and then I see it.
Marshall +7 is a sharp play here. So is Minnesota +20. That's an interesting game. They host Michigan Saturday night on Peacock streaming service. Texas A&M, they took +3.5. They took +3. That number keeps coming down. A little birdie told me that Milroe got hurt in practice this week. And you know those backup quarterbacks for Alabama.
Well, there's like only 7 of them, so somebody's got to be good, right?
Let's talk about that. How could Alabama not have any skill position players? They don't have any receivers.
They're all transferring away. John Murray, if you are a 5-star recruit and Nick Saban sits on the couch with your family and says, you're going to play as a freshman, which never happens at Alabama. No. It used to be you sit there and you wait your turn. But he goes, you're going to play. As a sophomore, when you have not played, what are you going to do? You're going to enter the transfer portal. Someone's going to pay you a boatload of money, give you a nice car, give you a place to live, whatever that looks like, and you're going to be starting.
And you'd go to the highest. You say you'd go to the highest bidder. So you'd go to the. So you wouldn't have any.
No, I don't think I'd go to the highest bidder. I mean, the college atmosphere is part of it. Depending on if you're going to go to the NFL or not, depending on what kind of degree you might get. Look, there are a ton of kids that paid their dues and ended up in the NFL. And that's what Nick Saban's going to be able to claim. Dabo Swinney's going to be able to claim. Jimbo Fisher's going to be able to claim. Brian Kelly's going to be able to claim, right? John Harbaugh. But eventually, these kids are going to be bought and paid for because there are donors who are able to do so. And the kids that are kind of falling through in the transfer portal are going to get picked up by smaller schools. Look at JT Daniels. That kid's been in like 5 schools.
He played here.
Yeah. And he played at Georgia, and now he plays at Rice.
And he played USC, right?
Yeah. Was it USC? I was thinking it was Georgia.
I think he went to – no, I think he did both. You're not wrong.
Both? Oh, wow. So, he's been at, 4 or 5 schools? I mean, look, these kids want to play football. They want eyeballs seen on them, right? Look at Trayshawn Ward. Unfortunately, he's banged up for K-State, but he left Florida State. His dad was a Florida State icon, but he wasn't getting the playing time he wanted. So he came to Manhattan.
Who was his dad at Florida State?
The quarterback. What's his name? I know.
Charlie
Ward. Charlie. There we go. Listen, I've only lived in Florida 2 years. You expect me to know Florida State history from before I was born? Give me a break.
First of all, that was not before you were born. Okay. And he played for the New York Knicks. He had a long NBA career.
Oh, yeah.
So he won the Heisman Trophy at Florida State, and then he played in the NBA for a pretty long time, actually. He had a really good NBA.
That's pretty awesome.
And
to be able to be a multi-sport guy.
Not before you were born.
Close, right?
No.
Like his kid and I are like the same age.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like I'm that age.
Oh, I know that.
Does that count? Okay.
Georgia, Kentucky, over. Got some sharp money, so keep an eye on that one. Interesting. That's interesting to me because Georgia's offense just doesn't really look that good. So that's kind of interesting.
You gotta have to wonder. So I had this discussion earlier on Wager Talk. We were talking about this, saying like when you get sharp action, right? So you guys get people that you respect, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that somebody that you respect might not go bet it at another book as well. Like let's say you guys are sitting at 47.5 and they're at 48 and they like the under. They're just not betting it at the SuperBook. But you also have groups that disagree with one another.
Yeah, and yes. And then the other thing you got to look out for, because we tape the show Wednesday. So when I give you these sharp bets that I saw as of Wednesday afternoon, sometimes Wednesday evening, depending on my schedule. Sorry, Kelly. They could be fake bets.
I try to tell people this. You've got
lower limit. Well, let's talk about
Look at this. Look at this. This is from the show that I tape on Wednesdays.
Uh-huh.
Those are all of the sharp bets that I was given. First of all,
Was that
that
a
is a
grocery
massive
list?
bankroll. What?
That looked like a grocery list. Those are your plays?
Yeah, well, that's my chicken
Oh, I'm
scratch
sorry.
because
Oh, I
I
thought
like to
that said
handwrite
eggs.
things.
Okay, go ahead.
But I think eggs, yes. But here's the interesting thought there, right? So, like, you may see money come in on Notre Dame,
Yeah.
right? On, like you said, Wednesday. And then on Friday, you may see a different group bet Louisville because, like you said, the limits are lower earlier in the week. So can you kind of walk through that? I know it's probably interesting to some and not others, but I do think it's an interesting talking point about not just blindly tailing sharp action. And also, you're not getting the same number as they are either.
Most books raise their limits as you get to game day, maybe the day before the game, because the consensus amongst the books at that point is the market is a lot tighter. You know, the totals market in college football is not very strong on Monday. It's not. By Saturday, it's a lot tighter than it was on Monday. Doesn't mean it's unbeatable. But sometimes you'll see groups give fake bets early in the week to move the market where they want it to be. And then
you're skipping an important step.
What do you mean?
We used to make fun of these dorks.
What dorks?
The steam chasers, the board cleaners, all of those type of guys that, I mean, they hold a place in this market, but they're not originating bets. They are not, they're just simply tailing what they perceive to be sharp action.
Yeah, I mean, that's most of your sharp bettors are people that don't even have an opinion. They just see the books that they respect moving on the screen, and then they race to make the bet with you before your team moves the line. And then they go on like X or whatever the fuck to complain about their limits, even though they couldn't pick a winner.
Or they go on like the guy that did during NBA Summer League with me and try to tell me that he was an originator, and I was sitting logged in, and I was like, your next play is going to be over 210.5 in the Sacramento blah, blah, blah game. And then 3 minutes later, he tweeted out, and the kid that was like listening to me was like, how'd you know that? I'm like, because I'm looking at the freaking same screen this guy's looking at. It's not hard.
No,
it's not hard.
That's a lot of work, though. That's a lot of work to commit to doing that. You basically
at my computer all day. All you do is turn the sound up, and it goes ding.
No, I know, but I mean that's some way to go through life, I guess, is a better way of saying it. I mean, I guess if you just want to sit in a room all day looking at the screen and making bets.
I mean, if I had like the little Wi-Fi thing and I could take it to the beach.
Well, there's a lot of people that would say that beats working for a living. And I mean, I'm not going to argue with
those people are not hardworking Americans, such as myself.
Well, no. Anyways, as the limits go up closer to the weekend, they can play back on the side they wanted all along, and they can actually set themselves up for a middle or a side. If they've done it correctly, they could hit both bets or maybe go one win, one push. It's market manipulation.
Yeah, absolutely. Good learning, teachable moment there, JM.
You ready for the NFL, your favorite league? The Thursday night game sucks.
It scares the shit out of me. So you and I already played the Commanders week 1, which was
my football team now. No, they went. I'm sorry, they went Redskins.
They're going to go back to being called the Redskins because one of the tribes is suing them. But you should sign the petition. Actually, you probably can't because you're Irish. But in all seriousness,
you've never seen my 23andMe. That's an assumption you're making. Okay, go ahead.
You should send it to me. I'd like to see it. So here's where my thought process is.
Yeah.
So you and I have a decision to make, but it doesn't involve Thursday night. So 3 entries. So I have 6 Survivor entries alive.
Okay.
3 of them use the Commanders week 1,
including ours. We can't use the game Thursday. Go ahead.
So that's the good news for you, because I am absolutely terrified the Bears are going to beat your Commanders and they're going to lose that Philadelphia game twice.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could definitely see Chicago beating Washington. I mean, Washington's a very beatable team. You know,
the SuperBook look-ahead line when the unit put out that lovely grid for me.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the Bears were and the Commanders were?
Washington was probably a very small favorite in that game.
-1.
Yeah, 1. I mean because remember the Bears had a lot of hype coming into the season. Washington's a very mediocre team. They get very average coaching, average quarterback play. There's going to be a lot of Bears fans at that game.
There is. But the other thing is the Bears play zero semblance of defense. Just bet their overs and go to bed.
And let's also keep this in mind. It's a Thursday game. Those are kind of inherently goofy.
Ugh.
So
I'm terrified, but I have to. I these other 3 injuries have to use them. It's just
this is
it's just
America. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to.
Nope, has to happen. I don't know if I can talk Ariel and Pam into it, but 2 of them, it's already happening.
I met Pam on Sunday. Pam was
oh good, yeah.
on Sunday.
And you know what? You never once ever sent over a bottle of champagne. I have been to the SuperBook 400 times, and she posts on X bottle of champagne.
I didn't send that over. Somebody else.
Oh, sure you didn't.
Somebody else must have done that. So Kelly's going to probably use the football team.
Oh.
Then what are we going to do? So like I've been chatting with the risk guys today at the office, and the consensus is if Andrew Thomas and Barkley are both out for the Giants again, Miami is basically a free spot on Sunday. And Kelly and we had been talking privately about using Miami on.
Let me pull up my spreadsheet. Hold, please.
Remember you and I were talking about using them on Black Friday against the Jets?
Correct. They'd be about a 6.5 point road favorite.
Everyone's saving Dallas for Thanksgiving.
Which I hate. I hate that. And last year they won big on Thanksgiving, but years prior, something stupid always happens.
Well, we were going to zig when others zagged and used Miami, but now I'm looking at the New York Jets. They beat Buffalo the first week, and Buffalo has looked fantastic since that game. And
I'm under 9.5 wins, and I'm still very nervous.
And they had the Chiefs. I don't want to say dead to rights or anything like that.
On the ropes?
They had the Chiefs on the ropes. So this team at home looks to be pretty tough, or at least certainly a lot tougher. I don't know. I don't see why we wouldn't just cash in Miami on Sunday, especially if we could get confirmation that those 2 guys are out for the Giants. Barkley and Thomas. Without those 2 guys, the Giants' offense is a disaster. And their defense is going to – look, Miami's off of a bad loss. They're going back home. Miami's going to put some points on the board.
I would agree with that.
How could the Giants keep up with Miami if they don't have their best offensive lineman and their best player?
They have a best offensive lineman because I sure have never seen him.
Well, no, Andrew Thomas. He's been out.
What, 10 times? 11 times?
Thomas has been out. He didn't play Monday. He's been out for weeks. He's an all-pro player. And without him, Evan Neal apparently is a turnstile. Without Thomas, that offensive line is in shambles. And then you also have Barkley out, so they can't run any kind of play action. Nobody believes them. It's a struggle. And if those 2 guys are out, I think we'll go Miami, kid. You good with that?
Yeah, I think Miami makes sense.
I feel like you don't like it.
Listen, it's early, and we've used a lot of really good teams.
Oh, yeah.
So
you're right.
I've spent a lot of time on our path, if you will. There's a spot to use the Dolphins again in besides Thanksgiving, week 6 next week. They look like a really good play. One of the things that I'm not saying anything bad, but one of the things that you brought up was, listen, Tua has been healthy, and that's not something we've seen throughout his career. If we save them for like week 13 or 14.
We don't need to give away the whole strategy, but yeah, we did. I didn't mean to. No, I don't care. I'm just joking. I do believe, I'm not wishing this, I do believe Tua is going to get hurt at some point. So, but my argument was to Kelly.
That's not good for my AFC East bet.
Kelly and I spoke about this. I think it was Monday we talked. And I said, hey, I don't mind burning Miami before Tua Tagovailoa gets hurt. That's not the worst thing to me. And I know that there's people that are going to use the Bengals on Sunday. They play at Arizona. I think you're better off. I believe that Joe Burrow's hurt. I believe there's a chance he'll be healthy at the end of the season.
Yeah, like week 16.
And if Joe Burrow's healthy, Cincinnati's one of the best teams in the league. So why would you use the Bengals when Burrow's healthy? I'm sorry, not healthy. And why would you wait to use Miami once Tua is back on the sidelines? That's all I was saying.
You got me sold. I will take the Fins with you
now while Tua's healthy. And if
I'm plugging it in right now.
If he gets hurt in the first quarter, Kelly can text me and yell at me with all the expletives that she wants. Kelly, what are your NFL picks for week 5? It's only week 5. Jeez.
So I've only bet 2 games so far. I laid the one with Atlanta. Even though I think Texans have been absolute and utter gold.
I
think it's up to 2 now. I also took 4 with the Rams. Yep, I'm betting against the Eagles again. And then I teased the Jets with the Raiders. I teased the Saints with the Raiders and the Jets. And I teased the Titans with the Raiders and the Jets. I also teased Pittsburgh, which now looks terrible because the line's like up to 4.
So the Falcons that's what you like. What's going to be
I think the Rams is my best bet. I think the Rams I'm going to go with my best bet.
The Rams are at home against Philadelphia. Rams off a good win against the Colts on Sunday.
Rams, so listen, I think the Eagles, not only being the Super Bowl losers, have been very lucky to be 4-0, right? Jalen Hurts threw 2 picks against the Bucks, and I got a lot of shit for that pick. Rightfully so, because the Bucks offense did absolutely no favors for that defense.
No.
Jalen Hurts throws 2 picks against the Rams, they're going to lose. I mean,
I agree with that. And, you know, if you look at Philadelphia so far this year, you'll never know. But they would have been in a lot of trouble if Justin Jefferson didn't fumble that ball out the back of the end zone at the end of the first half, that Thursday night game in week 2.
Yep.
And I certainly think Ron Rivera should have gone for 2 on Sunday. Philadelphia's very, very good. I don't know that they're as good as San Francisco. I'm not sure who's better between them and Dallas, but
it's San Francisco who plays Dallas this week, and they're a 3.5-point favorite. So that means San Fran -1, 1.5 on a neutral. We're going to find out who the best team in the NFC is this week.
Sharp money that I've seen in the NFL this week: Pittsburgh +4, +4.5. They're at home against Baltimore. Kelly mentioned Atlanta. So some of the sharp guys here seem to think that maybe the market's overreacted a little bit here. Atlanta, 2 losses in a row. Atlanta could be 1-3. They were lucky to beat Green Bay in week 2. Desmond Ridder has looked awful the last couple of weeks. I don't know if he's the answer. When is Atlanta going to go to Taylor Heineke to see what happens with him? I think that they probably should. They need to try to get some of their offensive skill position players into the game a little bit more, but the feeling here is a bit of an overreaction line for Houston to be under a field goal at Atlanta, although Atlanta is coming back from London for that game. Also seen sharp money on the Titans. They are at Indianapolis and Dallas. When we got up to 4 in the Sunday night game, Dallas +4 got some sharp money. That's one of the best games of the year. Dallas and San Francisco Sunday night.
Finally, we get a good Sunday night game, though, right?
I mean, that's a really good game. So you probably can't. You're probably not going to get much better of a game. The entire.
I mean, last Sunday was supposed to be a good game, but Aaron Rodgers.
But I mean, this game, Kansas City plays Miami later in the year. That game's in Germany, which is going to be kind of wonky. So you could argue this is the best regular season game of the whole season. I think it's possibly true. Dallas, San Francisco, Sunday night. Right now, we got the Niners -3.5.
All right. Do you want to do the mailbag? Since you didn't do the recap quickly, Riggs is in the chat telling me, like, mailbag.
Yeah, he sent us a message, mailbag. Yeah, Mike.
So I didn't know we had a TikTok, right? Like, no one said, hey, we have a Kelly Murray TikTok, but apparently we do.
I thought you weren't supposed to use TikTok. I thought like the Chinese.
Yeah, you're not. But all the kids are doing it, so we have to do it. Okay, so anyway, they did not like your boring ticket writing story days about the guy betting with the change, and they're demanding a better story.
What was the question? Like what?
He's like, what's the coolest, craziest, whatever story that you have from being a ticket writer? Or maybe like being like when you were just like a front guy, what are those called? Like you're above the ticket writers. What are those guys called?
Supervisor?
Yeah. When you were a supervisor, like you were still on the floor and you were still interacting with customers. Like, what's the craziest story?
Wait a minute. What is that?
It's not like you have like an NDA or something. Like, just tell us.
You think that I don't interact with customers now? I talk to customers all the time.
Yeah, but not the guys that are betting with change. You're not. You're interacting with Pam and giving her bottles of champagne and not me.
I didn't give Pam a bottle of champagne.
I couldn't even get gluten-free pizza the last time I was there.
Really? Why is that?
They were out of the crust. I was very mad. By the way, next time you guys go to the SuperBook, not even if you have celiac disease, because I don't, the gluten-free pizza at SuperBook is literally the best pizza I've ever had.
I don't know what the funniest thing that happened when I was a teller was. I'm sure even if I did, I couldn't tell the story.
Like I said, you don't have an NDA. You can tell the story.
But sometimes, like the other day I was talking to a buddy of mine that we wrote tickets at the same time, and we were just like we were both working at what was then called the Hilton SuperBook together, and we
You're
were
not allowed
just.
to call it the Hilton anymore. I found out the hard way.
But who yelled at you? John? Mike? Who?
I've just always called it the Hilton. It was the Hilton when I moved to Las Vegas, so it's just always been the Hilton.
Well, at the time it was called the Hilton, just like at the time the football team in Washington was called the Redskins. And so the guys, when I first started there, the other tellers, they would occasionally I'd hear them call out like, it's a Toledo line change, a Toledo line change. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And one of the guys explained to me that that's what the tellers then would call out if there was a woman around the book that they felt was attractive. So like the second,
which was like at the time I was the only woman in the book.
You get women in there.
You're talking what, 2009, 2010?
2007.
Yeah, I wasn't even in the Hilton in 2007.
So eventually, like this happened like 2 or 3 times where like one of the kids would be like Toledo line change, and every head would turn in the same direction. And of course the girl would be like, I know that they're talking to me. And I remember saying to one of the other guys, like, she knows that you're talking about her. I mean, you guys are barking out this idiotic nonsense, and every head is just whipping in the same direction at this poor girl who knows that she's hot. Stop doing that.
Yeah, probably wouldn't fly in 2023 at the Hilton.
2023, you'd get Me Too'd for that. Yeah, that's why I didn't send Pam the bottle of champagne. I didn't want to get.
Okay, great. You had Raina do it or Mindy do it. One of the female supervisors. Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you for taking care of my friends.
Mailbag.
It means a lot to me.
Mailbag.
Mailbag. We got a lot of questions and we're running out of time. So I'm going to pick. Jeremy Lemaster wants to know, what is your favorite local, non-touristy, non-change restaurant that he should hit up when he's in town in January?
What's a good spot? Because I went there the other day. Echo and Rig is really good.
Yep, it's been my favorite forever.
Isn't it? Is it? You think it's the best one?
Like, I think Echo and Rig is great, but it is still a 30-minute drive from the Strip. So what I loved about Echo and Rig when it first opened is they didn't have their liquor license yet. So we would go to Total Wine, get an entire shopping cart full of wine, and they didn't charge a corkage fee.
Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah, you just tip the server, and you would bring in just like copious amounts of boxes of wine. It was wonderful. But I will say closer to the Strip, because it is probably a 20-minute Uber ride from the Westgate, but close to the Westgate, Cleaver, that is also owned by the same guy who owns Herbs and Rye.
Well, yeah,
excellent.
Herbs and
Joe,
Rye.
who I accidentally put you in a text message with today, he and I went to Cleaver when I was in town.
Yeah, but see, this guy said non-touristy, non-chain, but go to Benihana. What's wrong with Benihana? Isn't Benihana fun?
Okay. So anyway, let's go next.
Another one.
La 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 la.
Well, I want to ask you this one, okay? Chris, no, I'm asking you one. Yeah. At Chris 001838891, so a fake name, on X, which used to be Twitter, he says, thoughts on fall weddings during football season and thoughts on watching football during the ceremony, i.e. the Red River rivalry, aka the Red River shootout.
Okay, so what happened was I was at a wedding last Friday night, and my 10-year-old goddaughter sitting to the right of me, and she always wants to do stuff with my phone. Like, she even took my phone and like changed my wallpaper and did a whole bunch of other stuff during the wedding because like that's like her thing. So I turned to her. They had just started playing the cello. Like, not even the grandparents had not walked down the aisle yet, right? And Bettor was like, "Hey, can you give us a wedding?" Like, they like to use the L word. I do not. But obviously the Bills was my best bet last weekend. So I said Josh Allen over passing yards against the Dolphins defense. It seems pretty feasible. Josh Allen easily got there. That being said, I'm like, all right, you have to film. She was like, I can't film. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm like, you're not going to get in trouble. First of all, I'm an adult. You have to listen to me no matter what it is that I say. Just record me.
Kind of. Go ahead.
And so then Bettor posted it on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, and people thought it was like so rude. I'm like, nobody even walked out. The cello had just started playing. It took me 4 seconds to rattle it off. One hitter quitter. It was great. I think that football stadiums and weddings are absolutely atrocious. I went to one on a Friday night, and that was my justification. Let me tell you how terrible my 7 a.m. show was. I thought I was going to die. I literally was like, I got 1.5 hours of sleep. I look like hell. I feel like hell.
Don't rich people, like fancy people, don't they all want to get married in October? Because like my sister,
Yeah, that's like a thing, I think, which I don't understand.
And her husband, they're fancy, and they got married at a country club in October a few years ago.
I also think it's cheaper because like May, June, July are like the 3 wedding months, aren't they?
See, I don't know, because then one of my buddies from high school and college, who I actually split a Survivor entry with him too, he's super fancy. He's like a rich guy, and he got married in October too. I think that's when rich people get married.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm never getting married, so it doesn't matter.
You want to
especially not during football season.
Do one more question, because Mike Riggs said stop taking.
I know. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Zach Shimmer. This one's good. Yeah. How much would you downgrade the Giants with Tyrod Taylor starting, if at all? I knew you're gonna laugh. Tyrod Taylor and I have an inside joke with Tyrod Taylor, John Murray and I think Tyrod's an excellent quarterback. I would only downgrade him from $160 million Danny Dimes by what, 4.5 points?
Tyrod Taylor is a very good backup quarterback, and you've got to remember, what is a good backup quarterback? It's a guy that can go in there and in a pinch can keep you in a couple of games a season. Tyrod Taylor can't be your starting quarterback because he could never last 17 games. So he's not an option. But in a pinch, could he go in there? I guess it would just be a small downgrade. The problem at Zach Shimmer on X is if they still don't have Thomas and they still don't have Barkley.
At least he's more mobile than Daniel Dimes. I mean, God, I feel like I can run faster than that guy.
I don't know how much it's going to matter.
I had the Giants in a couple of teasers, John Murray. Like, I turned it off at halftime. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. When he threw that pick 6 going into the end zone, I was like, we're done here. I knew it. I turned on the TV. I had it on I was working. I had it on my iPad, turned off the iPad, walked in there, turned on the TV, saw they were in the red zone, and I was like, he's going to throw a pick here. You could just see how the defense was lined up. And not only did he throw a pick, he threw a pick 6, like 100-yard pick 6.
You saw that they were at the 1 yard line, and you predicted that he was going to throw a pick 6.
No, I said he's going to throw a pick. Oh, and then he threw a pick 6, which pissed me off even more. And I just hit the remote again. I didn't even put down the remote yet. I just hit the remote. I was like, fuck this, I'm going to bed.
When you say you hit the remote, do you mean like press the button or actually hit
My remote's really expensive. I know that because I had to replace it.
Right. All right. Last question.
No question.
No, what? What? You don't
want to? We're at 47 minutes and 30 seconds. You were 2.5 minutes over. You were 3 hours late today. Chop, chop.
2 hours late.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At Vincent PG, no, I don't think 49ers Cowboys will be the largest handle of the regular season because of the Steelers-Raiders game. That was such a massive handle game for us.
What?
Oh, my God. It was awesome. And
that was your largest handle game of the year?
Not even close. Not even close.
And everybody from Pittsburgh just fly in, download the SuperBook app, and just hammer Pittsburgh?
We needed the Steelers big. We did great on that game. And
thanks for the information. You think it was fun laying 2.5 with the Raiders that night? Could have had a little insight from you.
I can't be in communication with you all the time. No, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I personally would love to see the Raiders become very good. Because if a weak Raiders team against a mediocre Steelers team could write that kind of volume, imagine if the Raiders were really good.
Yeah, you could keep your job for like another year.
They will. Well, not if the Raiders covered.
You just can't be happy, can you?
Can't win.
All right, you guys, we're done. Thank you for listening to Kelly and Murray. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Wager Talk YouTube channel, to the Kelly and Murray podcast. Leave us a 4-star review. John prefers 3. I prefer 5. So 4 is a nice middle ground. Honest. We love you all.
Honest reviews. Just keep it honest. If you got things we need to work on,
I quit. I quit.
Do that.
I'm quitting. Our producer said this show blows. 0 5 stars. Way to go.
Hey, that's something we need to work on. Thanks, Mike.